Hello, in this video we will be solving and graphing inequalities on a number line. This video will be mostly focused on how to graph these inequalities. If you want to first practice solving inequalities with steps listed out, I have videos on how to solve one, two, or multi-step inequalities on my channel already posted, so feel free to check that out first. If not, let's get started. So after we have our inequality solved, our first step is to decide whether it's going to be an open or closed circle. An open circle is used for less than or greater than, and it's used when the number is not included in the solution set. The closed circle is reserved for greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, and it is when the number is included in the solution set. It's the equal to part of the greater than or equal to and less than or equal to that allows you to close that circle. Because every number that's beneath the arrow that we're drawing is a solution to the inequality, and every number that isn't is a non-solution. Our step 2 is to determine the arrow direction of the line. Greater than or equal to is the arrow goes to the right, and less than or equal to, the arrow travels to the left. A helpful way to determine the direction of our arrow is to think of the inequality sign as the head of the arrow. For both of these rules, we're assuming our variable, often x, is on the left, and then our number is to the right. So as you can see, this is pointing to the right, and it travels to the right. This is pointing to the left, and it'll travel to the left. Now, let's work on solving these inequalities and then using the two rules that we covered previously to graph them properly. So first, we have 5d plus 20 is greater than 60. So first, we're going to subtract 20 off both sides. And we get 5d is greater than 60 minus 20, which is going to be 40. Then we're going to divide both sides by 5 to isolate that d. And we get d is greater than 8. So now let's populate our number line so we can graph. Okay, so first thing is that we want to make an open circle at 8. We're going to check whether we want it to stay open. Here we have d is greater than 8, which means we want it to be an open circle because there is no equal to here, right? 8 is not a valid solution, so we don't want to cover it in. And then here you can check the arrowhead. The arrowhead is going to the right, which means we're going to go this way. Our line should go here. This should make sense because d is greater than 8, so solutions like 9, 10, 11 should all be valid. So our line should go to the right, and this should cover all those solutions. Now, in this question we have negative x divided by 6 plus 7 is less than or equal to 9. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to subtract both sides by 7. We're going to get negative x divided by 6 is less than or equal to 2. Now, let's divide both sides. Let's multiply both sides by negative 6 to cancel out the division here. Sides 6, and we'll get x. And then because we multiplied by a negative, we have to switch the sign. And then 2 times negative 6 is going to be negative 12. Our answer is x is greater than or equal to negative 12. Now, let's populate this number line so we can graph. Okay, so now let's make a circle at negative 12 and ask ourselves, do we want it open or closed? As you can see, we have x is greater than or equal to negative 12. There is an equal to here, which means x is allowed to be negative 12. So we want to color this in. And then we ask which side should the arrowhead go? As you can see, the arrowhead is pointing to the right. So we're going to the right here. Just to check our answer, x is greater than or equal to -12, so numbers that are bigger than -12 should work, like -10, -8, -9. So we know that we graphed it correctly. Now, let's continue solving more questions. So here we have 2x minus 8 divided by 10 is less than 1. We're going to start by multiplying both sides by 10 to get rid of this fraction, and we get 2x minus 8 is less than 1 times 10, which is going to be 10. We're going to add 8 to both sides to get 2x is less than 18. Now we're going to divide by 2 by both sides, and we're going to get x is less than 9. Now, let's draw this number line so we can graph it. Okay, now let's do our first step, which is going to be making the circle. We're going to make it at 9 here. The question is, do we keep it open or should we close up the circle? As you can see, there's no equal to sign here. X is less than 9, which means it cannot equal 9, so we leave it open. In this case, we look at the arrowhead. The arrowhead is pointing to the left, so we make our line to the left. Just checking our answer. We know that x should be less than 9, so solutions like 5, 6, 7, 8 should work, and which is why the line is going this way. Now, for our next question, we have 6a minus 13 is greater than 2a plus 3 times a minus 1. Let's start by distributing this 3 over first. We get 6a minus 13 greater than 2a plus 3a minus 3. So why don't we simplify this right side first? 6a minus 13 greater than 5a minus 3. So we subtract both sides by 5a. We get a minus 13 is greater than -3. Let's add 13 to both sides. To isolate that a, we get a is greater than -3 plus 13, which is 10. Now, populate this again, and we'll make a circle at 10. As you can see, we have a circle at 10. Should we close up the circle? There's no equal to sign here, so we leave it open. A is greater than 10. The arrowhead is pointing to the right. Answer here. And just as a check, numbers that work should be like 12, 13, 14. 12, 13, and 14 all work for this inequality right here. Now, let's solve 2 more practice problems. We start with 16 is greater than or equal to 9b minus 2. So first, we're going to add 2 to both sides and get 18 is greater than or equal to 9b. Then we're going to divide both sides by 9 to isolate that b. And we're given 2 is greater than or equal to b. I personally like to swap it and make it b is less than or equal to 2 and have my variable on the left, because this way we can use the arrowhead approach. If we have it on the right, we can't use it. So let's graph. Now, before I graph it, pause and try to graph it yourself. First, think, are we doing open circle or closed circle? Also, what direction is the line going to go? I hope you've graphed it by now, so I'm going to graph it with you. So first, we have a circle at 2. We've decided to close the circle because we have an equal sign right there. In which direction is our line going? Left or right? We look at our arrowhead, it's pointing to the left, so we know we're going to the left right here. Let's check our answer. Answers less than 2, less than or equal to 2 should work. So 0, 1, -1, those should all work. So we know we went the correct direction. Now, let's solve one last practice problem. We have 4x minus 6 times x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 20. So we have 4x, and let's divide it. We have 6x minus 18 is greater than or equal to 20. So here we have 4x minus 6x, which is going to be negative 2x. We have 18, 20. We have to add 18 to both sides. We get negative 2x is greater than or equal to 38. Now let's divide by negative 2 on both sides. We get x. We have to flip the sign because we're dividing by negative 19. So now we have our answer. X is less than or equal to negative 19. Once again, I'm going to ask you to pause the video here and see whether you can graph this properly. Okay, now let's get started on the graphing. First, I need to populate this line. Okay, and then now we're at negative 19. Our question is, open circle or closed circle? The answer is closed circle because we have an equal to sign right there. And then now we're thinking, do we go right or left with our arrowhead? We go to the left because this is pointing to the left. And just as a check, to graph it correctly, x is less than or equal to negative 19, so numbers like negative 20, negative 21, and negative 22 should work, so we know we graphed it properly. And that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching.